There we go.
Great.
Cool, let me put it up. Now you can see that, okay, yeah?
Yeah. Empowering the individual for you and you alone. Hi, Linda.
Hi everyone. Hi Dorothy. Hi Jennifer.
It
Hey.
has been ages. I want to see your face.
Okay.
Don't keep me waiting for too long, but oh my goodness, you look good.
Thank you. You look good too.
Oh my goodness, it has been a long, long, long time. How have you been? It
Yeah.
seems like you're at work.
Yeah. I'm at work.
Oh, how is work? How is the weather? It seems like it's sunny. I don't use because it's sunny here. I love how sunny it is. I think it's cold for Jennifer. So Jennifer, you can be a hater. It's okay. I'll
Well, I'm
totally
in
understand.
Scotland at the moment, and I was raised to think it was going to be cold in Scotland, but it's actually been beautiful since I got here. Like so beautiful, and the countryside
Really?
and everywhere we're at is so beautiful. Anyway, then when we add a little bit of sunshine to it, it's been amazing, absolutely amazing. I believe it's raining at
Wow,
home,
that's
all right,
amazing.
but
Yeah, probably. Hi, Mansura.
Hello.
Hi, I want to see your face before we have more people step in. We do
Oh,
have Jennifer. We also have Linda, who stepped in, the first person to step in, and she's looking amazing. And she put on her video. So I want to see your video as well. Go ahead. And please
can you
don't
give
keep
me a
me
minute?
waiting.
Can you give me a
Okay.
minute? I'm working from home today, so I'm not fully dressed up. So
Yeah,
just
so
give me something
in
else.
this community, you can go, you can come in looking whichever way you wish. It's just cool with us.
Okay, okay. 1 minute.
we all do
No
it.
worries.
We all do it.
So I see Fatima.
Can
Yes,
you see
I
my face?
can. How are you
Hi.
doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you for joining in. How is the weather?
It actually rained here this morning, so it's a little bit
Oh,
cold and cold. So yeah.
oh wow. I don't envy you. I have sunlight. I could send some your way.
Oh, thank you. I actually prefer the cool weather actually because it's been sunny for like forever
Oh,
now. So the weather kind of
okay.
like
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. Absolutely fine. Thank you for joining in and good to see your lovely face.
Same here. Thank you, Jennifer, for the connect
You're
on the
very
link.
welcome.
I sent you a message.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
have an amazing smile. You should turn this
Yeah,
camera
she
off more
does.
often.
Thank
I know I want
you.
you for a job, but I want to be a part of it with your smile.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just gonna greet more people that stepped in. Hi, Fatima. Okay, Fatima is still trying to sign up. Hi, Folake. Hi, Fatima. If you can hear me, please put on your video. I would love to see your face. Fatima, are you there? And then I see a name. It says alienate. I wish to not have you be alienated, but yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Great, great, great. Thank you for showing. How is the weather?
It's kind of looking as if it's going to rain here.
Oh, I'll send you some sunlight just in case you need some.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for joining in today. Hi, Folake. Can you hear us? Okay. Seems Folake cannot hear us just yet. All right. So for everyone else, welcome, welcome, welcome. We do have Jennifer here. As always, she keeps to time and she has created a fantastic piece for us today. It's called Empowering the Individual for You and You Alone. Hi, Blessing. Thank you for joining in. If you can mute yourself, that would be great, or I'll probably just go ahead and mute everyone. But yeah, thank you all for joining in. We're hoping to have a great time today. I just love one thing that I noticed about Jennifer over the week. She tinted her hair color to blue, and I love that because one of the she's rubbing it right now. And that goes with the front page of her slide. So that's cool as well. Mansura says, I recently tint my hair. Oh my goodness, Mansura, I love that. Please show us before we end today's session. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start. I have taken a lot of time. We wanted to give more people time to step in. But yeah, Jennifer, you are empower us today for us and us alone. In for that always, every day. That's what Wentors is about. But I'm gonna give you the floor.
Thanks, Dora. Yeah, so what I want to cover in this particular session is, again, things that I've learned through mentoring before. I mean, mentoring is a learning process for both the mentor and the mentee. And I've learned a few tips and tricks that I've used myself and shared with people, and some worked and some didn't. And the ones around empowerment, for me, it was really important to make it a digestible thing that people can do. Often when we think about empowerment, we assume that we're, standing on a stage in front of thousands of people, and that's the only place you're going to feel truly empowered, which is not the case. Often empowerment is something that you just want to feel in an individual, like in a one-to-one conversation, or in your home place, in your workplace, or just in yourself, when you're making decisions about yourself and your future. And that's what I've learned through my mentoring experience. And I've taken a few tips from this, and I have 3 different kind of exercises that I'll talk about throughout this that I would encourage you to participate in. You have your own free will to do with it what you want. But yeah, if you have a pen and paper, just to take some notes for that. And if you do participate in any of the challenges or suggestions that I make, I'd really love to hear your thoughts on how you found it, or did you find it useful? Is there ways you would change it? Because like I say, I too am learning, as is everyone. So the soonest, the more we can get feedback and understand what we can do better, then the better. And yes, there will be a recorded version, Mansura, of this afterwards. So yes, if you don't have a pen and paper, or you're doing what I often do and do other work at the same time, you can pick it up later on. So let's get on with it. So the very first thing that you need to do when it comes to empowerment is set goals. And I know often when we talk about setting goals, often just more work, which is not really true in this case. In many cases, when it comes to empowerment, you already know what those goals are. It's just about consciously deciding that that is what it is that you want to improve. So for me, it might be difficult to believe right now. But there was a time, certainly when I was in my teens and in my early 20s, and possibly even into my 30s, that I would avoid confrontation at all costs. Even when I knew 110% that I was right, I would back down on an argument, or I would run from an argument, or even a slightly heated discussion, because I just couldn't bear confrontation, and I would let other people win when they were absolutely wrong. And I hated that about myself, and that made me feel disempowered. It made me feel small, and it made me feel like I didn't actually have any control over the decisions that were happening in my life. Not through any great trauma that I was at. I am very quiet and compliant too, and I think it's just my home environment. I learned to be that way, and we all know that. As I often say, that women are generationally taught to be the quieter party in many conversations too. So I'm all about breaking that. So for me, if I was thinking about this in that previous frame of mind, what it would be is that I'd want to be comfortable enough in my own skin to hold my own in a challenging conversation. That's a goal. So when I say set goals, it can be that you want to be the CEO of a company or your own company, or you want to be the my husband always talks about, is feeling confident when you go. So have a think. This is actually not one of the challenges, but I know that not everybody is ready to commit to a goal now. But think about what those goals are. And often when you come into mentorship, one of the things you'll be asked is, so what do you want to get out of this relationship? Is it career-wise? Is it the personal development? Is it just that you want to make more connections or build your network? Same idea. You want to set a goal. So have a think about what it is about yourself that makes you feel like you have less control, or that you're disempowered, or something that you feel would help you feel more empowered. And then I want the rest of this session to you think about it with respect to that goal. And if you don't have a goal, let's just think about it generally and go in. Come back. Why is it the minute I start talking shouting is a little different to usual, but it is the result of awesomeness last night. So bear with your goal in mind. What I always suggest to every mentee that I get, someone who take on board what I call the yes challenge. Now, I'm sure there's other people that do this in different ways, but I like to keep it nice and simple, and I refer to it as the yes challenge. Now, having done this myself, it was actually around getting involved with women in tech, not even exclusively with women in cyber, but women in tech. And I was working full time, doing a 4-hour round trip as a commute to the office, 4 kids and my husband, of course. So trying to run a household where he worked evenings and I worked daytimes, long, busy days, lots of training, had gone to work for a new company. And I was like, I really want to get involved in all things women in tech, but how am I going to do it? Because this stuff takes time and I want to do it properly. And it's important to me that I do a good job of this. So I said to myself, okay, I'm not going to push to be involved in something specific. I'm not going to go out there and go, I'm going to run a big commitment. But what I'm simply going to do is, as things cross my path to them, no matter what those things are. So if it was a case that I connected with someone and she'd meet for coffee, which people often say, and sometimes they don't, that I would go, yes, you should, and connect with that person and make every effort then to actually get together and meet them for coffee, assuming we're in the same country. If it was a case that there was things that came across maybe my LinkedIn feed or my social media where they were looking for people to volunteer at some sort of women's event, handing out flyers or filling in questionnaires or anything at all, I would say yes. Once I committed myself to this challenge, then when I had days where I was tired or I was maybe not necessarily feeling it, I reminded myself that I had committed to this challenge and I would say yes to it anyway, and I would push myself that little bit further. And the most interesting result of the yes challenge for me was that I was already embedded in many women in tech things at this stage, and I got a connection a long time ago from a guy on LinkedIn, and I had accepted it, but he pinged me one day and said he was in America, and he says, I'm coming over to Ireland. I'm bringing my daughter before she goes to college. Would you recommend some places to go and some things to see? And I automatically assumed, because I didn't look up his profile, that he was somebody that worked for the same company as me, American colleagues. And it's not unusual that they'd ask me about, where to go and what to see when they come to Ireland. And I had a pre-built list of things that people should do and all of the places they should see that you wouldn't see in all the guidebooks. And I sent him all this information and said, enjoy yourself. And he said, great, can I give you a ping when we're over here? And sure, maybe we'll meet up for coffee or something. And I was like, yeah, grand. Didn't think anything more about it. This was several weeks before and then when he came over, he did in fact ping me. And he did say, I'm going out for dinner on a Tuesday night, I think it was. This was Monday. And myself and my daughter, would you like to meet up and we'll have the chat? At this point, I thought, I better look up this guy and see who he is, that he's not, going to murder me. So I better make sure. And when I looked him up, he was one of the founders of OWASP, which is a pretty significant organization around web application and in cybersecurity. And I knew I would have something in common with him, that he was a real person, and he had sent me a picture of himself with his daughter. So I also knew that there would be somebody else there. Now I still rang my sister from outside the restaurant and said, I am here. I will tell, I expect me to be here for X number of time, because that's what we do as women. We like to let people know where we are and that we're safe. And that comes first. When I talk about, is it safe? That comes first. Whoever you're meeting, make sure people know where you're going, make sure you know the person. And, I want to say that's a given, but I also feel the need to say it out loud, because when I first told people about this Yes Challenge, it was actually during COVID. So is it safe is one of the most important things to bear in mind at that stage, you know, with regards to the environment you're going to be in and if you're going to be physically around other people. So in my case, then I had made sure it was safe. I made sure it was towards my goal because it was somebody who was in cyber and wanted me to talk to his daughter about what it was that we did and just get together. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. We had a great night, had our dinner, I had a few drinks, where we did we had lots of conversations about lots of different things from art to cyber. And then he went home. I left it at that, but he got in touch with me afterwards and said that he's an organization that has a lot of events around cybersecurity. And would I be interested in speaking at one of his events in San Francisco? And I have an open invite to go and speak at any one of those events that I want, whenever I want to. And that was simply saying yes, that one time where somebody asked me to meet up or to give them some assistance there. So that's an example of where these yes things can lead to. So you might think that you're just answering a question for somebody on LinkedIn, accepting a connection, meeting someone for coffee. You'll never really know until you see it through where these connections will lead to and where these opportunities arise until you start leaning into them and saying yes to more things. So is it safe, first of all? Is it if it's related to what it is you're trying to achieve? And is it outside of my comfort zone? If it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, then it's the right thing. You should feel like it's challenging you slightly in order to do these things. So for me, meeting new people and getting out physically to meet them in person, I always found challenging. I will talk to anybody once they start speaking to me. And I can present to anybody, but the hardest thing I find to do is to begin conversations with people and do the initial introductions. So all of these things were outside of my comfort zone. So I would encourage you all, this is the first challenge and probably the one I've seen the most impact for anyone that I've been involved with in mentoring and even people I don't mentor who just ask for some tips, is that say yes to the things that loosely relate to your goal. If you have no goal, just say yes to meetings with people and coffees with people and social outings so that you broaden your horizons and now your goals will start to develop themselves. But this is where you should begin things. So that's challenge number one. And then give yourself permission to do the things that move you towards your goal. And what I mean by that is a common occurrence that I see again in mentoring or in having conversations with women in tech or women that want to get in tech is in many cases they just want the reassurance or the permission to do the thing that they want to do. So it may be that they want to make a career change. They already have done the research. They're interested in the career that they want to go into. They have all of the means to make that change, but they just want somebody else to say, absolutely, go for it. It may be that they think they deserve an increase and they're maybe not comfortable in speaking to their boss about it, or they don't know how to navigate salary increases or reviews or promote themselves. They have all of that information to do it, but they need permission to allow themselves to want more. And so I'm using permission as a loose term here. What I mean is nobody needs my permission to do anything, but it's about validating their needs and their requirements. So if there's something that you want to do, instead of waiting until somebody else tells you it's okay to do it, or waiting until everybody else does it, so then it's okay for you, give yourself permission to do it. You already know in your head what it is that you want or what it is that you need. So why wait? Why wait to have somebody else tell you that it's okay to ask for it or achieve it now? So I say there in the first one, what have you got to lose? I mean, if it's an increase that you're considering, say for work or a promotion or a role change, not asking means that you will 100% not get it. But asking means that there's a chance that you'll get it. So don't be denying yourself these things. go for it, do it anyway. Think about what your champion would say. So everybody has somebody that will speak highly of them, whether that person is your mother, your best friend, your little sister, your colleague. There's always going to be someone in your life who is your number one champion, your cheerleader. So if you're thinking about doing something, for me, I remember many moons ago, I used to write plays. And one of the very first plays I had produced, so I'm from a theatre background before tech, that I had produced, there was I was about 19, I think, and the person who was directing it was probably in his 40s, and a man, and he kept making me change the script to the point at which I was concerned that the script was no longer going to represent the piece that I had written. And because I didn't like confrontation, I made changes, then made more changes, and then made more. And then I got to a point where I was like, I don't know if I can stand by this script anymore, put my name to it. I'm not sure it's my work. So what I did, he challenged me on it. He wanted me to, and he was quite aggressive. He wanted me to make these changes. I knew he was going to challenge me on it. So I was in a hallway where a door opened and left a tiny gap behind the door between the wall and the door. And one of my best friends at the time hid in that gap between the wall and the door. I stood in front of the door where he couldn't see her, and he spoke to me about what it was that he wanted me to change. And when I told him that day, because I knew that my best friend at the time would never allow someone to treat me the way that he was treating me. So knowing that and knowing that she could hear me, I allowed myself to stand up for myself. So I told him I was no longer going to make any changes to the script. This was the script that I wrote. This was the piece of work that I wanted to put out there. Thanks, blessing. And he was making it his and not mine. And I didn't want to do that anymore. And I was terrified. My heart thumped out of my chest and my hands were sweating. I was just so petrified of him speaking down to me or, challenging me and making me feel small, which he attempted to do. But I found this bravado because I knew that my friend could hear what I was saying. So from that point on, any time that I felt like I was being made smaller than I am, or that somebody was trying to put me out of the limelight that I deserved or step on me for their limelight, I thought about whether my champion, my sister has always been my champion, what would she say? Would she allow somebody to treat me like that? Because I didn't have the confidence at the time to allow myself to stand up for myself. I used that to build it. So I don't anymore. Now I know what I deserve and what I can ask for and how people should treat me, and it's a lot easier. But in order to get myself to this position, that's what I use as a tool to do it. And you will all have somebody in your life, and even if you don't, you have Dora, and she wouldn't allow anyone to speak to you in any way other than full. About that when you're standing up for yourself. And the very first time you do it would be terrifying, but wow, are you going to feel powerful when you walk away from it? With regards what you have to gain, only great things. Once you give yourself permission to be the person that you are outside of your own head, you've only got things to gain. If people push against you or people don't want to support you, then they're just making it really easy to decide who belongs in your life and who doesn't. So you only have positives to gain. Even when something goes wrong, you learn lessons, and that's a positive to gain then too. And then the unknown is a scary place. Absolutely is it a scary place, but it's also the place where all of the opportunities and possibilities happen. And if you stay in your little bubble, in your comfort zone, you'll have a nice life and you'll achieve things and you'll, survive and maintain. But if you want to achieve bigger things and give yourself more and give yourself the things that you deserve, then you need to step into the unknown. And you will know that when you step into the unknown, you're never alone. There's always somebody that has your back, whether you know it or not. I've had several times where I've admitted that I've stepped into the unknown and learned afterwards that because people come out and they will congratulate you or they'll make contact with you. Learned afterwards that I had way more people that had my back than I even knew. And I remind myself of that then when I have to make decisions that push me outside of my comfort zone or into the unknown in the future. And then, as I've said in the beginning, let other people have the opportunity to turn you down. It's a strange statement, I know, but you don't get opportunities if you turn yourself down. So stop that. Stop telling yourself you can't go for a job. Stop telling yourself you can't speak in that event. Stop telling yourself that you're not good enough for a partner that you have. Stop telling yourself that, you know, your parents will never be proud of you. All of those things are things that you're capable of and things that you have control over. But by not allowing yourself to push forward and achieve those things, then you're saying no to yourself. Let other people say it. Let them tell you. Because there's also a stubborn part to all of us that the minute somebody tells you that you can't do something or you shouldn't do something, I don't know about you, but it pushes me harder to do it. So that's always a win there too. So there we have to move from there then to the taking action. So we've already got like the yes challenge and understanding that you need to get out of your own way. So what actions can you take here? So think about what it is that you can influence. It may be that the only things you can influence in your life right now are the people that you talk to. That's a huge influence. You might not think so, but maybe you've got a circle of friends, and of 8 of those friends, 2 of them make you feel positive about yourself and your future and the things that you can achieve, and 6 of them don't. They're really negative and they moan about everything, and everything is everybody else's fault. Then what you do is you gently adjust your schedule and spend more time with the 2 and less time with the 6. You can control that. You can influence the people that you spend time with, and you can influence the kind of conversations that you have with those people. And then everything snowballs from there into a continuous positive activity forwards. What we can't choose, people always say, what you can't choose is your family. And this is a big challenge for a lot of people. If your family are not supportive of you, if your family are the ones that make things difficult for you, or don't think that you can achieve things, it's harder to step away from your family. But what you can do is counteract it. So if you've got somebody in your family who's difficult and treats you that way, then counteract it. And I have a challenge that I'm going to mention next. It's going to help with regards to counteracting it. But think all the time when you have a decision to make, how much of that decision can you control? Because decisions that help you move forward, it's important to recognize the decisions that you can't control. So the ones that are going to happen without you, to of your energy. You know, some of those decisions, they're going to happen anyway. Maybe you're in education and your family move and you have to move with them because you're not yet independent and working. That's outside of your control. There is no point in giving all of your good energy to a decision you can't change, making the decision work for you. So wherever you're going and the new people that you're meeting, and if you and my naming of exercises is not very original. They just are what they are. So the notebook exercise is one that I've used a lot with people that I've mentored. And I remember specifically a lady that I mentored through Wentors. And this was one that she loved the most of all of the exercises she says she's ever done because of its simplicity. So when it comes to the notebook exercise, what you want to do, no pen. And for me, it was really important that that notebook was pretty, or something that when you looked at, you thought, like that. Now, I like notebooks. So I'm very, yeah. I see it. And the same with these. I have a pen that's colorful and fun. I keep the 2 of them together and I keep them somewhere that I'm going to be every day. So I have had mentees keep them in bathrooms because they know that they're definitely going to be there every day. Keep it beside their bed, keep it in their car, wherever you know you're definitely going to be at some point every day. And what you're going to do, be it at the beginning or the end of the day, it's usually easier at the end of the day, is to write down 3 things that went well that day. So if you do it in the morning, 3 things that went well the day previous. And these 3 things don't have to be huge. It could be that you made a really great cup of coffee. It could be that your walk to work in the morning was beautiful and it didn't rain. Like Dora is somewhere right now where it's sunny and she's sharing that with everybody else who seems to be in the rain. It could be small thing that you won an award. It could be that you were promoted. It can be any number of things. But I find that this exercise is particularly good if you feel like you're small in your universe right now. Like if you feel like you can't impact things, or if you feel like you haven't got good things going on in your life, this is the exercise for you. Absolutely. And I go back to this exercise regularly. And people might say that things that are going on in my life are pretty cool right now, which yeah, they are. But sometimes they'll dip. Well, do not be embarrassed by anything that you write down. For some people, in bed in the morning is as big achievement as for other people. In the beginning, it might have been the making of your bed, and now it might be that you've gained new contacts and new friends, or learned new skills in work. Because what you've done, the work you've done for yourself over that time is to change how you see the world, which in turn then changes how the world sees you. And I can hear the words coming out of my mouth, and I can hear me 10, 15 years ago going, that's so cheesy. But having done it, I can really appreciate the difference that it makes. And having needed that notebook when times are particularly difficult and you go back, or you're moving towards a goal and you miss. Maybe you've gone for a job and you didn't get it and you were sure you were going to, you had ticked all the boxes and you didn't get it. This notebook is going to show you how much you've achieved right up to this moment so that you can pick yourself up faster and with more resilience and power after a knock like that to go on to get the next role that you deserve. So the note, that's the only thing that you take away. I recommend it for any career, in any role, in any country. It's something that's going to benefit you. I did it during COVID and found it, well, the taxing times in COVID when we were restricted to 5K or in the house with all, like there's 5 in my house. It's not a big house. And we were all suddenly in each other's pockets. It made everything so much better. In fact, one of the exercises I used to do with my boys, we used to always sit down for dinner together, and I would always ask them at dinner during COVID, so what great thing did happen today? And they hated it. They used to moan and groan and give out. And we began with things like, well, dinner's nice, because there wasn't a lot that could be done during COVID. We weren't able to go anywhere or do anything. But what I learned over time, I remember speaking to my son, who was then 15, I think. And he had been playing basketball at a net that we had rigged together in a space out in the back garden. It wasn't any sort of a proper setup, but he had taught himself a few tricks, and he came in and he was passing me by as he came through the house, and he goes, that's what I'm going to speak about at dinner time today. And I realized that, hang on, might be onto something here, because what had happened is during a time where nobody had any certainty and everybody was feeling a little bit lost and not quite sure what was going to happen in the world, I had taught my son resilience. I had taught him how to find the things that are working and hold on to those until we move out of this difficult patch. And he still uses it. He's so much better at it than I am even now to this day. And I have 4 boys, and they've all been taught this. But I just remember that particular moment thinking, oh, hang on, this is working. So it will benefit you. I can't recommend it enough. If that's the only thing that you do, go for it. And then stay positive. This leads me on to the staying positive. If you have done things like the notebook exercise and the S exercise, very quickly you'll discover that your perspective of the world and the world's perspective of you is starting to change. So for me, in the space of 9 months, so it was 9 months when I said that I would participate in my own Yes Challenge around women in tech. And I began with, like, say, filling in questionnaires, connecting with people, giving some opinions, hopping on calls, doing some mentoring. And by the time I hit 9 months later, I had been asked to speak at the Women in Tech event. It was one of the first ones that was in Dublin at the time, in our convention centre. So the convention centre in Dublin is one of the biggest centres for conventions in the country. And I spoke last week about that particular speaking event, where I ended up on stage in front of 1,200 people. So I said I wanted to do something in relation to women in tech. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to get out there and show other women that they too could get into careers that they maybe didn't fathom, and could have control over their lives that maybe they didn't realize that they could, and could move forward in their careers with momentum that they didn't know that they could have. That was what I aspired to. Little did I know that 9 months later, I would get the chance to have that conversation with 1,200 women in that room. So it can happen really, really quickly. For me, it did happen quickly. And for anyone that has used those tools to date that I've worked with, has found that too. If you totally embrace it, lean into it, you'll be surprised how quickly everything starts to change for you. And then inevitably there's going to be failures. We all have them. And how you deal with those failures is going to help to determine your trajectory towards your goals. And what I mean by that is exactly what I have on screen there. Everything is a learning exercise. I really believe that everything that happens in my life anyway is something that I can learn from. So maybe I'm always submitting papers for talks, and I almost always get rejected because I'm not very good at writing the papers for talks. I can do the talks, but when it comes to writing them out and descriptions and stuff, it's just not my forte. So I'm trying to teach myself to do a better job at that. And every time I get a rejection, instead of being upset about the rejection, I know what the problem is in 99% of these cases. But what I do is try and get some feedback and try and sit down with somebody and learn how better to propose it the next time. That's an example of one of them. You know, if I go for a promotion and I don't get it, what can I take away from it? What can I learn? What was I missing when I went for the promotion? Was this something that I could control? If it's the case that the company doesn't have the means or the funds or the career path for me to move into that promotion, then I have learned that I need to move to a different company in order to get to where I want to be. So nothing that has come my way that's been negative hasn't taught me something. So no matter what it is, even if it's down to sickness, illness, death, location changes, cars that break down, from one extreme to the other, all of these things have taught me something that moves me forward with my life, not just my career, but with my life and my goals. And from there, and if you start to look at everything as a learning exercise, positive or negative, it's amazing how much more adaptable you become to an environment than you would have been before. And I found it, there's been times I've spoken to my niece about it before. There's been times where things have happened and I'm like, that's just rubbish. Like, that's just crappy. And she will say, like, yeah, there's no way that there's anything good about this. And I think it's actually possible, no matter what, to find something, whether it teaches us that laws need changing and we can advocate for that, whether it teaches us that recruitment needs to change, whatever it is. And there's things that need to change in me and in the environment around me. And if I learn from everything that happens, negative or positively, then I can change and I can influence those things in the future. So start thinking about things that way. And then removing the negative. So this is this is the third project and final project that I have in here that I would suggest. And I alluded to it earlier when I talked about the 8 friends. If you're surrounded by people and environments and things that are not moving you positively towards your goal and making you feel better about yourself, then they're taking away your power. And the easiest thing you can do in the world these days, especially with social media, is to block people. So if you're reading things on your social media and on your LinkedIn and, in your environment around you that isn't making you feel good either about yourself or the direction that you want to go in, then remove that information, block people, that don't make you feel good. Remove feeds that don't interest you or don't move you towards your goals. You know, things like Instagram and all of these the issues around body positivity, like stop looking at things that are making you question whether you're okay or not. Get rid of them. They don't give them the attention that they don't deserve. And I think if the more people that do that, eventually the people that make us feel that way will become quiet voices and will become louder ones. If you're in an environment where you know, okay, when I go to work, when we're in the canteen or the lunchroom at lunchtime, there's always people there that I don't really like, or they make me feel grumpy, which ultimately means that they're a negative environment. Then go for a walk at lunchtime. Then take a sandwich with you and eat it on your walk. Go somewhere else and avoid them. There's going to be times where you can't block people. Like if you're physically in front of them, you can't block them the way you do on social media. So just avoid them. Just phase them out of your life. And it's actually as easy as that sounds. And then if people are trying to get time with you and trying to connect with you because maybe they see you as the person they want to offload all of their negativity to, then always be too busy. So you'll identify those people pretty quickly, because if you come away from time spent with somebody where you don't feel like it was a positive experience, or you don't feel energized by that interaction, then they're not the right people to spend your time with. They're giving you negative energy and taking all of your good energy. So just be too busy when they contact you and they want to meet up. And eventually they'll get fed up of asking, and you'll be meeting up with people who do give you positive energy and make you feel better about yourself. So those were the 3 projects. The last thing I would suggest, and I've found that this has been a game changer for me, surprisingly so. I like to think I've always done it, but I do it even more so now than ever before, which is to celebrate other people. Literally nothing is more empowering for you than the empowerment of others by you. So when you see people succeeding, even if it was somebody that you didn't get on well with in school, if they're succeeding, congratulate them, be their cheerleader. Tell them that it's amazing that they're achieving and that they're out there showing other people that you can achieve too. It doesn't matter whether you like those people or not. If they've earned an achievement, they should be celebrated for it. And you being seen to celebrate others will draw people towards you, and those people will celebrate you. And you just create this big tornado of positivity by doing that. And it doesn't take a lot of effort or energy on your side to do it. There's nothing more appealing than a human being who takes time to celebrate other human beings. Nobody wants to spend their time hanging around with the person who just spends all day telling you how great they are. You want to hang around with people who tell you all about all of the people around them and how fantastic they are. Those people are just sponges for positive energy and sponges for great connections, and opportunity just follows those kind of people. So be one of those people and make it your business to look at things that you're seeing from people that you know, your social media platforms and in your environment, and whether it's in your churches and your schools, and make it your business to say great things about their achievements. Think about it. If you did something good or great and you had an achievement, how would you want people to speak about you? And do that about them. So, I'm nearly there. I think I've got this one, and then we're down to just the final slide. So share your skill set as well. This comes hand in hand, of course, with mentoring, and especially aligns to what Wentors do. If you've got skills that are useful, or you've been speaking to people and they've found some tips and hints that you've got useful. I mean, that's ultimately what's led me to being here with these, that I've learned that some of these items are things that people I've mentored have found useful, and people I've worked with have found useful. Then share it. Seems a little bit unfair to keep all of those skills to yourself. So be it technical skills, why not reach out and see if there's an organization that you can demonstrate those skills to and allow other people to benefit from that. If it's, that you just bring happiness to a room, then make connections with more people and meet up with them and bring that positivity and that vibe to them. Whatever your skills are, whether you're fantastic at baking, you're, top of your career in cybersecurity, or you're just a really great friend, take those skills and share them with other people. Every skill that I've learned, I didn't lick it off a stone, as we say at home. I learned it from other people in my community and in my environment, whether it's at home, at work, in school, my friends. You know, I wasn't born with any of the skills that I have now. So be that person who makes it easier for other people to achieve too, by sharing your skills then with everybody else in any way that you can, whether it's one person or hundreds of people, put it out there and offer. Normally when people get in touch with me, and I think I've said this before, and they, you know, they ask questions about getting into cybersecurity or, you know, how to deal with a difficult boss and things like that. As a general rule, what I'll do is I'll go, okay, let's have a chat and we'll talk about it. And my skill set in many cases is that's most useful is down to just experience as a woman in tech who's been in it as long as I have, and knows how to combat some of these situations because I've been in them too. And that's probably the most valuable skill set I have that I didn't know I had until I started using it when I got involved in mentoring. And I continue to share that with people regardless of where they are and what their environment is, what their background is, because it's useful to them. And in doing all of these things combined, then I've felt more empowered. So empowerment is actually rarely about you as an individual. It's about the perception of you from outside, your perception of yourself, and the things that you control, and knowing the things that you can or cannot control. When you get all of those things aligned and you get them all to a place that you feel good about, then the empowerment is there, and you'll just realize it one day that it is there. So that is it. That brings us to Q&A. If anybody has any questions, that's my LinkedIn. If you want to connect, if you haven't been on it before. It was a little bit more soft skills than usual, Dorothy. I think it's important to make it make sense to everybody. So it's more stories, I think, in that one than usual. But it's important for people to see that it's possible and that it's normal and it's human and anyone can do these things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
No
It
worries.
is important, you know, to ensure that women, especially women in technology, gain power and control over our lives, because a lot of what you said is all tied together to ensure that we do gain control of our lives, and the perception that people do have about us. Here at Wentors, we do a lot of soft skills training, from personal branding, you know, imposter syndrome, networking, you name it. And I'm really excited for, you know, what you mentioned today, especially the challenges. It's really beneficial that we pick one, or if possible, we pick all. I know the ones I'm going to pick, but I really did enjoy today's session. And one of the things I know that you mentioned that, you know, sort of got me thinking, so I'm not the only one who has gone through this or who is going through this, is how we allow other people to have conversations. And because we're not good with competition, we allow them, you know, okay, you think you know what the answer is, that's fine. Just, I really don't want to, you know, go deep into it. And it's really, really wrong. You a lot on me most of the time. I hate confrontations, but I see that there are more benefits to it than I can tell, right? And I need to stand up and be a little bit more confident in what I think I know, and when I do, you know, speak out, right? So yeah, thank you so much. About a lot of what you've said. So this is me going out to everyone here. If you do have any questions, or, you know, any pain points that you feel you want to share with Jennifer today, you can. If you have any questions, you could put that in the chat, or if you want to speak, you can unmute yourself. It has been an amazing session for me. I don't know about you, but I believe it has been really refreshing for you as well. If you have any questions, is there any questions, any feedbacks, anything at all that you would like for Jennifer to go over, just so you have a clear understanding and that you leave today's event and that's really what it's about. So yeah, I'm just going to leave it open. Is there any question you want me to call you out? Yeah, pretty much. Linda, do you have any question?
You're welcome.
Erica says, thank you, Jen and the team. Absolutely. Thank you for listening in and for getting empowered, because really that's what we're about here. And we do hope it does stay with you. Okay, so
I think what
Olaitan says, thank
sorry,
you.
honey.
Yeah, go
What
ahead,
often
Jennifer.
happens, I think, when we talk about things like empowerment is that, I mean, we're at the early stages with many people here. That's typically why they're on a session like that, is that I imagine a lot of you are thinking, I know, thinking hard about it, but feel free to reach out on LinkedIn if you've got any questions specifically, because often this is the kind of thing that when you take the information and go away and think about it, then you'll go, well, can I try this, or should I do that, or how will I approach this situation? And I'm more than happy to answer any questions about that. I am not the king of the world, as I would say to my kids. Like, I'm not going to have every answer to everything, but hopefully I can point you in the right direction, or at least just listen to what it is that's the challenge for you. So feel free to ping me on LinkedIn with those, because I know not everybody's going to be as comfortable asking questions around empowerment, in a forum like this. Is different when we're doing technical sessions, or,
Yeah,
ask questions. But when it comes to an empowerment, and for a lot of people, those challenges are around their social circles. Nobody's going to want to
absolutely.
call that out in the public room, and I want to respect that. So yes, if you do have anything specific that you've got questions about, don't be afraid
Mm.
to reach out to me there.
That's true. That's really true. So Mansoura says, please, I would like to be one of Jennifer's mentee if that's not too much to ask. How do I go about it? Well, Mansoura, at the moment, Wentors doesn't have any open cohorts. We should be having open cohorts next year. However, if Jennifer does have the time to personally mentor you, absolutely, you can reach out to her. She has her LinkedIn profile, link here. It's Jennifer M. Cox. You can follow her up and, send her a chat. If she is available, absolutely. Why not? If she's not, you can wait for the next cohort. And if you do reach out to me by next year with an open cohort, I will be sure to see that I can pair you up to her. We do have a question here from Alita, and she says, how do you find your way if you do not know where exactly to start from career-wise? This is a good question because a lot of us we're not here, we're not there, we don't have the right information, we lack the confidence. We may have more than enough information and it can be confusing. So Jennifer, can you help her out?
I feel like I have this conversation often with my kids. So, like, I say my kids, most of them are adults. Like, I have a 25-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 16-year-old, and then a 9-year-old. But I feel like it's an eternal question. And honestly, I didn't figure it out till I was well over 40, and I'm 44 now. So, I'm only getting the hang of this thing now. So first thing I would say to you is there is no set in stone right answer that you're missing right now. There's no, like, you're not oblivious to what that answer is right now. You're just figuring it out. And I think we all need to get comfortable with the idea that this is going to be ever evolving. But that said, what I would suggest is, out of those projects that I mentioned there, the Yes project is absolutely going to be the best one for you. So as people make connections with you, or you make connections with people on LinkedIn, and you see things that are popping up in your feed that are career specific. So maybe there's an open night for, I don't know, web developers, or there's an engineering evening somewhere. Have a look at those, and just, if it's somewhere that you facilitate getting to, or hopping onto it on Zoom. I see lots more of women networking sessions popping up on Zoom, which is fantastic. Make yourself do those things and talk to people, because when you talk to people in lots of different careers, you're going to start to realize how not set in stone those careers are, how much flexibility and movement you have in certain career choices, but also you're going to see how happy they are or are not in their career choices. So often people will go, well, I want to be a doctor because we're going to earn loads of money, and, it's just the best social career that you can have. They work insane hours. They take about 10 years to be in that career, or to get to the point at which they can actually earn the great money that they're talking about. And it's challenging. If you make a mistake, it's literally a life or death mistake in many cases. So, you know, if you're not talking to those people directly about their jobs and their experiences, then you're just getting the sugar-coated version from outside. And it's going to be hard to choose then, because you want to choose from a realistic situation. So I would suggest do the LinkedIn shopping, as I call it. If there's career areas that you're interested in, search for, you know, put in some key searches. Let's say it was mechanical engineering, search for that, find a few people that are mechanical engineers and add them to your profile, and whether it's on social media or LinkedIn, and then start to work off the information that comes up in your feed. Does it excite you? Are you interested in it? If you're not lighting up at the idea of being involved in a particular career, then that's not the right one. You know, you should feel excited about it. It should bring you joy. You should be really interested and getting really engrossed in the things that you're reading. Then you know that you're going in the right direction while you're figuring it all out. And that would be what I would suggest. And know that there's never a final answer. If you choose to do, my sister actually went to college and trained in beauty and hair care. She became a qualified hairstylist. And the day she left college, she said she was never going to cut anyone's hair ever again. She hated it. She sure. So flex and move and roll with whatever comes in front of you and whatever makes you happy, even if it appears to be a social thing, then do the social thing. You're going to meet more like-minded people and you're going to naturally fall into the area of a career that you want. So that would be my suggestion for you and for anyone else. Yes, she's going to, Dora's going to send out the link to the recording and the presentation too. Actually, I should send her the PowerPoint. We may have lost her off the call. Yeah. But yes, thanks so much everybody for attending. Like I say, any other questions, feel free to ping me directly on it. I will be traveling today, so it might be a little bit slow getting back. And thanks for your time and listening. I know in many cases, this is something that just takes a bit of time to absorb. But just take that time. It's worth it. It's for you. So invest in you. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. I think I'm going to stop sharing and hop out and let you go about your day. Have a great time. Bye-bye.